Hey guys, we're doing math right now. Go ahead and turn to page 279 and 280 in your math books. Go ahead and circle these problems so that we know which problems we're doing. On page 279, we're doing number 2 and number 3. That's the only ones we're doing on that page. And on page 280, we're doing all of number 6. We're skipping number 7, number 8, just A and B, and then in that bottom homework section, just number 1. All of them, A, B, C, and D. I wanted to look at page 279, number 2 and number 3. Those are kind of clock related problems, and I know that you guys don't have necessarily a clock like I have here, so I wanted to do those together so that we can make sure that we're getting the right answer so we can kind of visualize and see better what we're doing. So number 2 says Jake and Grandpa looked through Grandpa's telescope for 2 hours. If they began at 6:55, what time did they finish? So I need to make my clock say 6:55 first. So this is my hour hand, this is my minute hand. Let's start by making it say 12 o'clock. And my hour hand is pointing at 12. As you can see, the hour hand's like right here. And my minute hand is at the top, and that's o'clock. So I need to make it say 6:55. So let's go make it say 6 o'clock first. So that's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. So this is 6 o'clock. I need to make it say 6:55. So I'm going to count by 5s each number until I get to 55. And then my clock will say 6:55. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So you might notice, there, 55, right there. My minute hand is almost to the top, and my hour hand is almost to the 7, but it's not 7 o'clock quite yet because it's not 7 o'clock until my minute hand is all the way to the top. So right now it's 6:55, even though that the hour hand is almost to that 7, it's not there quite yet. So make sure you keep an eye on that hour hand. It can be tricky sometimes. So we have 6:55, and it says if they began at 6:55, so this is the time that they started, what time did they finish? So this is the time they started, and if they're starting now and finishing later, am I going to go backwards in time, or am I going to go forwards in time? Like if I say we started school at 8 o'clock and finished at 3 o'clock, we're going to start at whatever time and we're going to go forward in time and finish at a later time. So kind of keep that in mind with starting and finishing and clocks and time and things like that. So we're going to go 2 hours later or after 6:55. So we're going to go ahead and move our clock. Now we're not moving it to the top of the hour, we're moving it to that 55 or that 11. So let's go ahead and move it an hour. It's 1 hour, and that's 2 hours. 2 hours. So again, this looks like it says the hour hand is pointing at the 9, but 9 o'clock would be if this minute hand was all the way to the top. It's not. It's right here. It's almost to that top of the clock. That hour hand is almost to the 9. So what time is this then? Right, this is 8:55. So go ahead in that blank, write 8:55. And number 3 asks another question having to do with what problem that we just did. It says, do you think Jake and Grandpa use a telescope in the AM or in the PM? So AM means in the morning. It means from midnight to noon. So midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, all the way like 8 o'clock in the morning when we come to school, all the way to noon. That's like lunchtime. And then PM is from noon to midnight. So noon when we would have lunch, 2 o'clock, or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock is like when we get off of school. Then 4, 5, 6, 7, that's maybe like you're eating dinner and you're going to bed. It's about that time. and going on all the way to midnight, in the middle of the night. So if they're using a telescope and looking into the sky, do you think they're doing it in the morning, like 6:55 in the morning to 8:55 in the morning? Or are they doing it at nighttime, 6:55 at night to 8:55 at night? Which one of those makes more sense, in the morning or at night, using a telescope to look at the sky? Right, it would make more sense for them to do it at nighttime, because that's like when all the stars and planets and everything like that can be seen more easily with a telescope. You wouldn't want to use a telescope during the daytime and look in the sky. You wouldn't really get to see too much. So they're using it at nighttime. Now, did we say AM was nighttime, or did we say PM was nighttime? Right, PM, like 6:55 p.m. to 8:55 p.m. That would be a really good time to look at the evening sky. That's when all the stars and things like that are out in full force in the evening sky. So in that blank, make sure you write PM. That finishes up page 279. Turn over to page 80, number 6, A, B, and C. I want you to do those on your own. I think you can do those. It's adding, subtracting, multiplying, but we have dividing, specifically dividing money. I know that's still fairly new for us, so I want to do that one together. So we have our steps we have our steps divide, multiply, subtract, compare, bring down. Those are my 5 steps for division. And we'll apply those steps to this problem. So we have 4 will go into 2. Well, wait, we should probably do something else first. Before we do anything with the numbers, let's go ahead and rewrite that dollar sign, rewrite that decimal point. Make sure they're directly above the dollar sign and that decimal point. Make sure you do that first. That'd be a good first step for this problem. And let's go ahead and go back into our numbers. We have 4 going into 2. Well, if I count by 4s, I'm not going to get to 2. It's already too big. So we're going to call that 0. And I have a 0 up here, so I can actually skip some steps and do a shortcut. So instead of going 4 into 2, we'll go 4 into 28. 4 will go into 28 how many times? 7, right. 7 times 4 is 28. Subtract. 28 minus 28 is 0. Carry down the 0. Oh, before I carry down anything, 0 is smaller than 4. It's a good comparison. Bring down that 0 like we were mentioning earlier. And 4 will go into 0 times. 0 is up there, so we can do another shortcut if we want. So we're going to go ahead and take this 0, 0, 0, 0. All of these are zeros. Going to carry down this 4. And let's go ahead and do the math. 4 will go into 4 how many times? 4. No, not 4. How many times? Right, 1. Let me know down in the comment section if you caught that mistake before I mentioned it, because that was my mistake I almost made. I'm glad I caught it. So, carrying on, 1 times 4 is 4. That one is correct. Subtract 4 minus 4 is 0, and I'm done. I don't have any more numbers to bring down. I don't have any remainders, so my answer is $7.01. Number 8 on the page, do A and B. I'm not going to do those on the board. I think you can do those on your own. And then down in that homework section, number 1, it's just multiplying. Again, I think that you can do that on your own. If you need help with anything extra, let me know down in the comment section if there's any kind of specific problems that you're struggling with. And maybe, like I did with the reducing fractions, maybe I'll see if I can make an extra video, maybe kind of going over that a little bit more, maybe helping out if you feel like maybe extra help is needed there.